Talking of Western Sahara, still technically a Spanish colony, whose liberation movement, the Polisario, have struggled for almost 40 years for independence. It represents one of the great tragedies of post-colonial Africa. Today, the territory of Western Sahara is ruled over illegally by Morocco, half the population segregated under Moroccan rule, the rest refugees in tents in neighbouring Algeria. In a moment, we'll be speaking with the actor Javier Bardem, who is trying to reawaken the world to this tragedy with a film. Well, Javier Bardem joins us now. Javier Bardem, before you went to that film festival in the desert, how much did you know about Western Sahara?
I knew a lot because my mother was actually an activist for the Sahrawi women. And in Spain, we are very aware of that situation because Spain is a very direct responsible of the Western Sahara situation. So I knew a lot, but I didn't experience anything until I got into the refugee camps in 2008.
And what is the first thing you want to try to achieve with this film?
Just some awareness, because beyond Spain, I don't think no society in any country knows a lot or in almost anything about the situation in Western Sahara. So, with a lot of humble, we want to make this piece of a movie be seen by as many people as we can.
Now, I mean, the backdrop to our conversation is tents. And many of these people have been in these tents for 30 years, whole families who have never known anything outside a tented existence. What was it like, actually, for you to experience this yourself?
As an experience, it was, well, what can I say, very rewarding at every level. But also, it was, you end up being very furious and very kind of ashamed of what we created there. And when I say we, I mean many countries. Especially England, France, United States, Spain, and Morocco.
And we could be a bit more specific, really. Spain through not doing anything, Morocco for doing a lot of illegal things, and France for doing nothing to stop them.
Exactly. At the end, the Security Council in the United Nations is France always who is doing veto to the...
They actually veto attempts to do something.
Exactly, which is basically something very strong to take, because we're talking about human rights abuses in Western Sahara, in the occupied territories. And of course, Spain has a lot to say about it, but Spain and France, I would say, they are totally, driven by what Morocco says.
Are you going to try the film in French in France?
We want to show the film in France, and we are trying to do the same thing that we did in Spain, in England, we're doing, and in the States. But it's not that easy, but we will achieve.
Now, there was a referendum that the UN called so that people could actually do what the UN Charter suggests in post-colonial circumstances, which decide their own future. Exactly. That should have happened in 1991. It was effectively stopped by Morocco. Is there any possibility of getting a referendum going?
I think there are two things here to address. One is the referendum, that the right for self-determination from the Sahrawi people, which is a very obvious right, because they were invaded by Morocco in 75, 76. But also, and what we chose to show in the movie is the constant violation of basic human rights in the occupied territory, in Ayoun and many other places where Morocco took place. And because, again, the veto of the great nations that conform the Security Council, they are told, do whatever you want, it's okay. And it's a shame for United Nations.
Now, I've never seen you as a politically motivated actor. I mean, your films that you appear in are, well, look at Skyfall for a start. Are you politically motivated?
I don't think nobody is not politically motivated. We are all politically motivated in the sense that everything's political. Every time you put fuel in your car, you are doing a political statement.
But now you've put yourself out in a pretty open way.
I've been out there for a while, but I guess not internationally. And it's okay. You know that once you have an opinion, you have enemies. But also you may find more friends.
How seriously do you think, I mean, you went to the UN yourself, you saw the key individual in the UN who has his finger on this problem. You've been to the Foreign Office too.
Yes.
Do you really hear any voices which say, Javier, you're right, we're going to fix this thing?
What I can tell, based on the relationships that I have with many ambassadors and people who are really in positions to do something about it, is that mostly all the people know that it's right and they should do something about it, because it's a shame on United Nations and on diplomacy in general. The problem is, can they do anything? And that's why we talk about the movie. It's realpolitik, which is, it's not about people. It's about numbers. It's about geographic places where the economical interest is huge. It's about things that at the end goes beyond what is logical.
Well, what about putting it back in your own back garden, the Spanish?
Well,
I mean, you have massive influence in Spain. You're probably the most famous, along with your wife, actor that's ever lived in Spain.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily good.
No, but on the other hand, a government likes to keep reasonably popular with the populace.
But we in the movie we have this moment where we took like almost 300,000 signatures from people saying they have to really help the referendum to happen, and we brought it to the Prime Minister, and they, of course, they didn't even open the gate to us. So they don't care. In Spain, it's a country, no matter what the government is, right or left, blue or red, it doesn't matter. They don't want to deal with the situation. It's like a hot potato for them.
Javier Bardem, thank you very much.
In No Country for Old Men, a performance that won him an Oscar.
Mamá, esto es para ti.
He dedicated his award to his mother. That's right. He's a heartthrob who loves his mama.
The influence of my mother in my life is huge, and I cannot even put in words because I don't even know how to express it. I'm an actor because of my mother.
Not only did she inspire his art, she planted the seeds of a social conscience. Is a serious refugee crisis and a people without any say in their national identity, and nobody wants to do anything about it.
It's a hot potato, as we call it, no?
Hot potato, how do you say that in Spanish?
Patata caliente. It's the same thing, no, in English?
Yeah, it is, hot
Which
potato.
is like nobody wants to hold it. No?
Nobody wants to hold it, and
Yeah.
frankly, nobody knows much about it, and I'm not sure many people care. Why have you thrown yourself into this?
I took a trip to the refugee camps and I saw it with my own eyes, and I realized how much injustice are in those refugee camps. When you have the relationship with it, as I had in the refugee camp, it has an impact on you, a deep impact on you that goes back to your own roots, which is, as a Spaniard, as a Spanish person, I would really need to do something. The situation of the Western Sahara is a grave injustice, a violation of international law.
As well as petitioning the UN, he's making a documentary about the Western Sahara to highlight the human rights abuses.
And there's a moment where you ask yourself, okay, you wonder yourself, how can I help? They asked me, are you a doctor? I said, no. Are you a nurse? No. Do you know logistics? No. So what are you, an actor? So keep on doing movies, because when we come back from our field trips, we feel great watching your movies. And you go, okay. So
That's your contribution.
Exactly. So your contribution is about knowing what you more or less or theoretically know to do best, in this case, in movie making.
But being an activist won't keep him from being an actor. You are known for some of the great films you've done, No Country for Old Men,
Which
Beautiful.
is the opposite of being a nice person.
Exactly, real villains.
Yeah.
Tell me about the next villain you're going to play in James Bond.
I'm very excited because my parents took me to watch the movies and I saw all of them. So to play that is going to be fun. They choose me to play these men that I cannot give you many details.
But on the Western Sahara, he wants to make sure that he's heard loud and clear, even through that famous accent.